So this was originally leaked on Weibo, and then it just kind of hit everywhere afterwards, even Amazon.
It exploded everywhere, you mean?
Yeah. And it's not a surprise. We kind of talked about it on previous podcasts, talking about when we had the mini bots and stuff, how, hey, we got Soundwave coming. I guess that means we're probably going to get the cassettes at some point. So here we have it. We have the G1 reissues for Walmart. We got G1 Ravage and Rumble in one pack and Laserbeak and Frenzy in another pack, as they were intended with their original G1 releases. That's how they were done in the original G1, and that's how it always was. Rumble was red, Frenzy was blue. That's just how it was. And
then the war started.
Yeah, and then the war. You know what I've always said for years? I've always said, because people are always like, it's like who's red, who's blue. I'm like, well, when it comes to toys, Rumble is red, Frenzy is blue. When it comes to cartoons, Frenzy is red, Rumble is purple. There is no blue. He's like a purple, so he's not blue. And then I love like the toy designers of the movie, even they were kind of trolling, because you had the character Frenzy, who was like the boombox, character in Barricade's chest.
Mm-hmm.
They did it that like when he first got released, he was obviously his grayish silver. Then they did the Allspark powered Barricade, and he came in red. Then they did some other one. I think it was like, I think it was called Deep Pursuit Barricade, and then he was blue. Like they were doing like every color of Frenzy possible. I felt like they were trolling the fans.
They might as well. I mean, you might as well get like
when you're doing
and
repaints,
be silly with it,
Yeah, when you're doing repaints. So again, this is pretty cool. I mean, this is good because Soundwave is going to be out in that same kind of wave. So now you'll have cassettes to go with it. Again, this isn't the first time we've gotten these cassettes. So it's something that, hey, you have an opportunity now to like get all the cassettes, even though in the past the cassettes were done in like more elaborate box sets and stuff like that. I know that someone brought up that they were like, well, what about getting a Rat Bat? Because for people who don't know, in the past, Rat Bat was available also in a 2-pack, but you ended up with one of the previous cassettes that we already have here. In this case, let's say Frenzy or Rumble, depending on how you want to word it. So I was saying, like, well, what you could do then is you could have Rat Bat, let's say the next wave, right? We could have Rat Bat, and then assuming if we get Blaster in the future, assuming if we get others, you could release it like that, but that wouldn't be true to the original Generation 1 release. It's something where it's kind of a hairy area. The only other explanation I could give is if you want to have Rat Bat, they could go about it the Masterpiece route, like Masterpiece Sound Blaster, where they could release, Soundwave as his black repaint down the line, Sound Blaster, and include Rat Bat with him. That's one way they could do about it too, where they don't have to then, have a 2-pack down the line that gives you another figure that you've already gotten from the previous wave. So that's another way to go about it. Aside from that, this is not a surprise. It's the only question that I really have is how they're going to go about the price point. I know that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Seeing what they did with Optimus Prime with the price point.
Exactly.
It's like I don't know what they want.
I did some research, and the original mini bots. Keep in mind this is Canadian currency, so maybe I won't even say the number. But in the original run, mini bots and the mini cassettes, as they were called, were the same price point back in 1984. In this case, in Canada, it was $4.99 at the time, but that means nothing in inflation currency.
Yeah.
So I don't think, this is my own personal opinion, I don't think they're going to have mini bots be the same price as the mini bots that mini cassettes be the same price of the mini bots that we've had thus far. I really don't think that. So I think they're going to probably be like $5 more.
It's like 10 in total?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Maybe even more. That's my only concern for people. And again, the thing is that
at least the joints will be tight.
Especially
I think that's the premium you're paying. The joints will be tight.
Especially for Ravage. Usually Ravage's knee joints, well, whatever you want to call them, the joints themselves are usually pretty loose for standing up. The one thing that I have to just say for a lot of people is that there's a lot of different options for getting these guys. These guys aren't rare. So it's something that there's been reissues in the past that you get them all in one shot. So kind of before you think about investing in these or waiting for them, and again, especially if, unfortunately, if the price ends up being way more than I predict, it's something that look online, kind of see the previous Soundwave reissues that they've had in the past that came with the cassettes, and see if it might be more worth it to buy that instead of buying Soundwave on his own and then these cassettes. Because I mean, I don't think we know yet how much the Soundwave's going to cost, but if Prime is any indication, I'm predicting Soundwave is going to be minimum $50, minimum, could be even more, but minimum $50. And then these guys here are probably 10 a piece, so you're talking $70 minimum. I think you could probably take that $70 and throw it at the box reissue that came out, and you might be more lucky. Just an assumption.
But I thought Prime was already floating around there in the wild.
He is right now. There has been Optimus Primes that have been popping up everywhere. People have been picking them up, but it's just we don't have any Soundwaves yet, so we don't know what he costs.
Okay.
So
okay.
it's something that's just something to let people know that are, if they're excited to pick up a Soundwave. I mean, granted, the Soundwave that we're going to get, the cassettes that we're going to get here, they're going to have that more old school style Generation 1 card back and box, while the reissue that I'm kind of directing to you guys has more of that old 2006, 2007 classics packaging, which was like that orange and red. But it's more about what you get in the package than what you get outside of the package. So it's another option, just something to consider. And yeah, I mean, but still, this is great. I kind of expected these, so I'm not too surprised, but this is pretty cool. We'll definitely talk more about it when we get prices and more news.